Good morning, Nigeria. It's a fresh Tuesday, the 2nd of December, and the political terrain is already heating up. I'm Oluwapo, and this is Daybreak Live, your sharp, steady start to the day.
And I am Samson Balogun. One story is shaking the political space this morning. In fact, two, former Minister Rotimi Amaechi declaring boldly, "My ambition is to become president. I won't settle for VP slot. No ambiguity and no footnotes." So he's stepping squarely into the 2026 conversation, and definitely the governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke, yesterday, as at last night, has been said to have moved from the PDP. To what party? We don't know yet.
Breaking news. Exactly. It signals one thing. Ambition season is open, and the real alignment battles are beginning to take shape across the political blocks and everything.
All right, and that's actually true. In a moment, Anu brings you the Daybreak News, delivering the key developments shaping Nigeria's governance and the politics at sunrise.
Then it's newspaper headlines and analysis, where we dig beneath the surface with our analyst Victor Akinleye, a political scientist and public affairs analyst on this show today.
All right, moving on. Our big story today goes straight into one of Nigeria's most debated political questions, the Muslim-Muslim presidency debate, marginalization or misperception. That's one question we have to ask ourselves this morning. Is it a legitimate argument for inclusion or a narrative shaped by politics?
And to break it down, we are joined by Oluwakemi Ademola Aremu, human rights activist, public speaker, and analyst. Expect a straightforward, unfiltered conversation today.
Absolutely, and we'll wrap things up this morning with Trend Watch, the biggest conversations trending across the country as we step fully into the week.
It's Tuesday, it's December, and Nigeria is already in motion.
Absolutely. If you are saying in motion, you must be smelling that already in town right now. It started yesterday, for the end of the year form fair, Christmas form fair started yesterday, and it was something amazing. You really have to be there. But if you missed it, you have to be here today, tomorrow, and of course till 24th of December 2025. And this is Daybreak Live. Let's get it started.
Absolutely. I think we started yesterday, especially on a high note.
Absolutely.
It was an epoch-making event yesterday. The roadshow across Ibadan, the whole of Ibadan knew that Dominion
something was happening.
Was doing something. And of course, it's a good way to start the month.
Absolutely. You know, you just have to do things the right way. And I think that was one big statement made yesterday across the city of Ibadan. And definitely, it's a decision made out of the intention to make sure that the good news about December and definitely about Christmas is spread across the city of Ibadan. And the one thing that caught my attention was the fact that the price for to see Father Christmas was actually brought down to as low as 3,000 naira, which for me is one thing that says, look, we want it to cut across every strata. I mean, the less privileged, the underprivileged, let me put it that way, and definitely those who could afford it. So for me, I think it was made open out of the ingenuity of the management to say, look, let's make it as accessible as possible. And that is really interesting.
I think it's a call for humanity, to express humanity, just to accommodate as many people as we can, regardless of class, because you don't have to do so much to get 3,000 naira. Not to say it is not, but of course, if you check what other persons might charge for that, you know, it's quite a lot to come to this particular station and have all of those benefits. I saw our Father Christmas, amazing Father Christmas, all the way from Rome. You know, fantastic. You know, if you have to see some of the social media content we have, you have to say our Father Christmas.
If we continue with that Christmas issue, definitely we're not going to be this place today. And then that takes us to the 2026 already eating up and ahead of 2027. And Rotimi Amaechi, a former minister and definitely former governor of Rivers State for 8 years. And at the point, he was also a legislator. So he said, look, at this point, if anyone has joined our political party and became a card-carrying member of the party, it still does not make a difference, as I will not step down for anyone, and I'm definitely going to run for presidency. Don't forget that he made this statement in 2023 while the presidential primaries for the APC was being conducted, and the current president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was also in the running. Some would say a person like Rotimi Amaechi, who was known to be an ally of the president at the time, should actually step down and maybe give his support to someone who they know in terms of politics and understanding of the terrain, knows way better than some of them. They should step down for him. But then he went all the way. He contested. In fact, there was a video of him running across the stadium, making it known that, look, I'm not stepping down for anyone. And he went ahead to contest the primaries, even though the current president actually won it. So if he's saying this at this time, I'm quite sure that he's going to do the same thing. And some people are asking this question. Is this another decision that is definitely going to bring an end to the ADC and the coalition movement? Don't forget that as it stands, most of the political parties are actually zoning their presidential ticket to the Southwest. Maybe they are saying, look, the South should get the next 4 years, and say, look, the North got 8 years, and then the South should also get 4 years. Now it depends on which part of Southwest you want to add, which part of the South you want to put it. Maybe Southwest, South, Southeast, regardless. But the point is, some of them are actually doing that, including the PDP. If you look at the national convention they conducted, it has actually opened the way that the presidency will be zoned to the Southwest, because the Northerners got the chairmanship of the party according to what they had in Ibadan, the convention. So it means that the ticket for the presidency will be zoned to the South. If it is now Southwest, Southeast, or South-South, well, that will be done and decided on the primaries, and of course the party will be the ones to decide that. But as it stands, if the ADC says they want to give their ticket to a Northerner or a Southerner, I think the structure, the federal character, so to say, in the party will determine where the ticket is good. But it happened in 2023 also in the PDP, where the PDP chairmanship was being held by someone from the North. And eventually the presidential ticket was given to someone from the North, which actually broke the party. And then we saw the emergence of the G5, which included Nyesom Wike, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, and so many other, Samuel Otom of Benue State, and Ifeanyi Igweanyi, Okezie Ikpeazu. There were 5 of them, and then they broke out of the party. And definitely, before then too, I think that was 2019, we also had the NPDP, led by the former Senate President Bukola Saraki, that they matched with the APC. I think that was 2015 actually. They matched with the APC, eventually producing the last president, the late former President Muhammadu Buhari. So all this put together, I think this is another crisis waiting to happen in the ADC.
Exactly like you've said. But let me start the conversation by asking a question. What does it take to be a presidential candidate in the country? Or what does it take to be a veritable, potent, competent president in the country? No. So I was trying to check into Amaechi's qualification. And of course, you all know that he was a former Minister of Transportation. So some would question, would that be enough? Not just that. He was also a former Rivers State governor at the time, And also, they have also made claims that he was in the know as to how the then president, Buhari, late Buhari,
was one of the governors.
Exactly. So there's all those claims together to say, these are the reasons we are presenting for Rotimi to vie for this position. But some would question his credibility. Now, maybe we need to now go back to what he's done as a governor and as the Minister of Transportation. Were there differences? Were there things that were exceptional for him to say is ready to bail the cat as regards the presidential seat in the country? That's also a question. But all of these things is, well, maybe it's not bad to declare intention to run for president.
You see, before you go forward, I think if you remove, or maybe barring the financial implication, I think most Nigerians will come out and say they are qualified to be president. I think that would be. You are qualified to be president.
It's up for
I am
debate.
Qualified to be president.
It's up
aside from the fact that I cannot bankroll a presidential election in the
50
country.
million naira.
That's just for the ticket.
Exactly.
It will take you billions of naira to make you president in this country, regardless of whether you are going to
and all that.
That's the
yeah. So let me round off my thoughts to say he wants to become the president and not the vice president. While some will argue that why don't you start from the vice presidential, candidate or ticket or whatever you want to call it. But some would also profess to him that instead of just running on your own, do you have, like you said, the financial wherewithal? Do you have the backing of the, the big guns in that particular space to run for this? And do you also have anybody that will bankroll you? Now, maybe some would say there's a better chance of him becoming greater than, whatever he wants to think of right now if he actually starts by becoming the vice president to Atiku. Because, of course, if you, I'm not saying this like my opinion, but if you put Atiku on one side and put Rotimi Amaechi to probably check for their qualifications, I think Atiku has done more in terms of governance to say he was at one time a vice president of this very country, and he's also done quite a number of things too. And he's been in the know as well. He's also been in that particular space. He's run for presidency. He's willing to also do more and all of that. So we can say Atiku, in a sense, might be more credible. Some would allege, but that is not a factual thing to say until we actually say it. Because I don't like to believe because somebody has done something in the political space, then the person is automatically competent. Because our grading system and our metrics are sometimes and somehow skewed. They are negatively skewed to one side because all we have seen is all they have given us. What if there's more? So a lot of us are already at that mediocre level to say whatever they bring. I mean, Atiku can do, he has done something. Rotimi can do, he has done something. It is not about doing something. It's about doing something exceptional, something different. Because for Nigeria to move forward, for Nigeria to leave the position it currently is, it needs to do more. Right? It needs to maybe put something that has not been done in a long time. Maybe something more, in a lot of ingenuity, a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity into that system for Nigeria to work. But the question is still, but maybe not the question now. One of the things we are going to keep our fingers crossed for is that we are still going to see a lot of things unfolding after now. Now, I know a lot of persons will also rise to say they want to contest for presidency, but maybe we need to put it out to everybody that before you say you want to do this, rest assured that Nigerians will call and will speak truth to power and will call for questioning. We'll ask you questions. If you say you are credible, we don't just want to hear the word of mouth. We want to see the actions. What are you bringing on the table? So this is where political ideology should come in. I cannot wait for presidential debates to happen in this country again. And I want to see all of these guys that are saying they want to contest. I want to see them on the podium. Let's have you speak what you... I think in the United States, the last election between Joe Biden and then the presidential, the current president, United States President Donald Trump, was quite a thing. There was, you could tell, you could almost tell that there was going to be a lead position for Donald Trump. Because at some point you could see, Kamala also did a thing, but you could see Biden was not, strong enough to withstand Trump's, and Trump does not, he throws words around. And that's exactly one of the things we're expecting. If you really want to do what, or you have the power, the competence to do what you're claiming to do, then let's have it spelled out. Come out and tell us, these are the things. Don't just tell us you want to run for presidency. I mean, everybody can run, like you said. Anu can say Anu for president, and that's not enough. But what do you want to bring on the table? The table is here. We have a cup. What do you want to bring on the table?
Well, when it comes to qualification and competence, I think so many Nigerians would say, oh, they can also throw their hearts in and say, look, I also want to be a part of this. But very quickly, let me talk about this. You see, one of the challenges we have had as a country is we have laid too much emphasis on what we call experience. And sometimes it doesn't really work that way. It's about competence, it's about what you can bring to the table. It's about what you know. What you don't know, you cannot give. And sometimes what you don't know, you get to tap from people, especially when you are the president or probably a governor. Your job and the responsibility is to bring in people that will help you solve problems. Unfortunately, we have turned this to what we call compensations. We compensate people with strategic positions. Take, for example, the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Marine, and some other things. There are so many other ministries where you can actually plant people. But who are you putting there? So it will be a reflection of what you are capable of doing because you have put the wrong people at the corridor of power. Now, let's now bring it down to what is currently going on in the normal space, in the employment space. You see a particular company saying, oh, we are looking for a 25-year-old, a fresh graduate who is 25-year-old with 7 years experience. I mean, how? How? I mean, it's not explainable. Explain to me in plain terms how you want this person to have this kind of experience. And then at the end of the day, when you want to check how much is to be paid to that person, then you will know exactly why they need a 25-year-old because they know that at that stage, that person doesn't really need much. I mean, there's no burden from the family. There's no burden from anyone. I mean, you do not really have something you want to do with money at that time. You just want to work because as a fresh graduate, what comes to your mind, aside from the goals you have for yourself, maybe in the next 5 years in the working space, you just want to work. Let me get job first. And then when you get it, then you begin to plan. That is when it is until you get your first salary that you realize, oh, I think I need more than this. Then you start working on more. But the problem is we are laying too much emphasis on experience. Take, for example, the current governor of Oyo State, Engineer Seyi Makinde. At the point, people said, oh, he has never been a member of the Oyo State House of Assembly. He had never been a governor, a senator, never been a federal member of the House of Representatives, or maybe a deputy governor. But eventually, he won. He's the governor now. Whether he does well or he doesn't, that is left to the people to decide. But the point is, eventually, he became governor. So it's not really about experience. And then, yes, sometimes experience counts. If you, especially when in the current situation where Nigeria is currently facing bashing across the world as regards the current state of the country in terms of insecurity, if we have someone without experience at the helms of affairs, I think we will have it worse than this. But then he's calm in addressing the issue, has really helped in one way or the other. And then you now see the body language about who they have actually placed in those 3 countries where Nigeria has more problems. They are people with experience. They are not, they are career diplomats. They are not long career diplomats, people who have been, so when you look at where they are putting them, and people that have been put in France, the United Kingdom, and definitely America, you would know that is a statement of intent.
Of intent, yeah. But there's been a lot of claims about the nominees of the president.
Definitely, even in America, you have people who have been, put at, in such places because, oh, they are politicians, or they are friends of the president, they are this, they are that. So, it happens everywhere.
Exactly. Like you mentioned too, experience counts when it's leadership experience.
Absolutely.
Political experience is what is really questionable for a lot of persons to say that you've done something before. There's a saying that some people claim to have 20 years of experience. Meanwhile, they only had 1 year of experience repeated 19 times. So you could tell that this person is not a leader. This person is a politician. And there's a stark difference, especially in the age and time and then the country that we find ourselves, that there's a difference between leadership and political leadership, as it were, so to say, in the country. The way politics is run is not exactly the way leadership should
Politics
be run.
and governance, they are 2 different things. It is until you understand the 2 that you become a successful leader. Once you know one and you don't know the other, you are still definitely going to fail. I will cite an instance. There was a particular issue that happened in Lagos not too long ago about Ambode returning as governor, and then someone saying, look, you are not coming back, it will be Sanwo-Olu. As a governor, most people will tell you that Ambode performed as a technocrat. But the political aspect of the game, he lost it totally. And then that was why, they could not field him for the next election, and then Sanwo-Olu had to come on board. So when you talk about being a technocrat and understanding governance, and then definitely understanding politics, I think there are 2 different things, but you still have to merge the 2 to become successful as a leader. Otherwise, there will be a problem.
I agree. I guess it's a fine place to
It's a fine place to leave it on this segment of the show this morning. So thank you for joining us. So